You should reconsider marrying this guy. At our wedding, my nephew warned me, pointing at the groom. Initially, I didn't take the child's words to heart. But my nephew is a child with a mysterious power. I can see the future. This guy is going to get arrested soon. And you'll be crying. If you go through with this marriage, it'll only bring you sadness. My nephew's specific words gave me an uneasy feeling, and I turned to look at the man beside me. Then, having heard my nephew's words, the man suddenly changed his demeanor and began to laugh ominously. Kid, how did you figure out who I really am? It's my ability to predict the future. Haha. That's fantastic. You guys must all be living in a fantasy world. I can't deal with this anymore. Hey, everyone, let's get out of here. Without a second glance at me, the bride, he belittled my nephew and ruined the wedding, escaping the venue with the guests. His true nature was. My name is Emily. I was a nurse living with my boyfriend. And his name was Mike. He was a hard-working salesman, often staying late at work. Busy with my nursing job, I had never seen him at work, but I had seen his salary deposited in our bank account. I had even met what seemed to be a client of his by chance once, and he seemed to be busy with entertaining them on weekends too. We couldn't go on dates, but we were happy and in love at home. Our company pays well after promotions. Mike would say this, working hard at his job, and I trusted him deeply. Having been a studious student with no dating experience, I never thought I'd be involved with men, but that wasn't the case at all. I met Mike at a mixer after becoming a nurse, and he became my first boyfriend. When he talked about saving for our future, I fell even more in love. Thinking he was someone who thought seriously about the future. And so, we started living together. He helped with household chores and was always willing to help me, making it the best life for me. Maybe we would end up getting married and crossing the finish line together. Most of the nurses around me were too busy to even think about it, so it felt like I was getting ahead of them. I felt bad for my colleagues, but then I started imagining having a baby and more. Am I getting ahead of myself? But I can't help fantasizing when I think about the person I love. What are you grinning about all by yourself? It's creepy. Thinking about your boyfriend Mike again? Yes, I am. You're not even trying to deny it. My colleague, Lisa, sighed in exasperation at the usual me. But I can't help it because I'm in love, right? Ah, Mike. I wonder if he's working hard right now. I can't wait to see him. This guy at work made me laugh so much today. It was really funny. I'll introduce him to you sometime, Emily. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Mike and my life together was modest but filled with laughter and was so comfortable. I'm the type to dote on my partner, and to support Mike in his work, I would prepare lunch for him every day. I made breakfast and dinner too, but when I had night shifts or was too tired from work, I would leave the food with a note on the table. Or Mike would cook instead. We supported each other like this. And when our schedules matched, we would enjoy our meals together while having fun conversations. I was looking forward to living such a fulfilling life with a kind husband after marriage. I'm a bit short on cash this month. Could you lend me $100? I'll pay it back into our account once I get my salary. You're not pushing yourself too hard with the savings, are you? It's okay to tell me when you're short on cash. Thanks, Emily. I love you. Mike, you're so dramatic. It's understandable that his salary is low since he's still working his way up. As a nurse, I was earning well, so it wasn't a problem when Mike asked for help with money. He was very kind to me and always whispered sweet nothings. Recently, he proposed to me, we started planning our wedding, and he promised to save money together as a fund for it. At Mike's suggestion, we opened a new account to deposit a fixed amount into it every month. Mike was in charge of managing this joint account. Since I was often stuck at the hospital with many patients, it made more sense for Mike, who could make deposits and withdrawals between sales appointments, to manage our finances. Until now, we had been managing our finances separately. But I felt really fortunate to have such a reliable boyfriend to entrust with our new joint account. I was really looking forward to the wedding with such a person. It was decided that we would register our marriage after the wedding ceremony. Later, I shared the news of our marriage with my colleagues. Everyone was happy for me and said they would come to the ceremony, but Lisa alone looked pale. What's wrong, Lisa? Could it be you're being deceived? I was taken aback by the unexpected response and didn't understand what she meant at first. But I quickly grasped Lisa's words and smirked. Lisa, you're just jealous because I'm getting married, aren't you? No, it's not that. What if he runs off with the money from your joint account? Run off? Mike wouldn't do something like that. You can't be sure. And I saw something the other day. I think it was Mike entering a betting shop. I couldn't follow him inside. But I'm pretty sure it was him. Why would you say something like that? Mike does betting. Maybe he just went to use the bathroom. It's mean of you to say such terrible things. Lisa, you fool. Emily, wait. I snapped at Lisa and stormed off back to my work, frustrated. Even if she was jealous, there was no need to say such things. It's as if she's making Mike out to be some kind of marriage scammer. There's no way that could be true. But I never imagined that I would come to regret not heeding her words. I was too blindly in love. And several months later. Although we only communicated about work, Lisa and I hadn't properly made up by the time the wedding day arrived. The wedding was a small affair with just close family and relatives, as Mike had wished. Since both our parents had already passed away, there were no formal introductions before the ceremony, but looking around, I noticed that Mike's relatives were mostly tough-looking men. Then, recalling Lisa's words about Mike being a marriage scammer, I suddenly felt anxious. Oh no. I decided to trust Mike, but now Lisa's words are really getting to me. Especially today, on our wedding day. What's wrong, Emily? You look pale. Oh, no. That's not it. I'm just really happy right now. Suddenly, Mike, who was sitting at the groom's table, peeked at my face, and I hastily made an excuse. Only to be met with his picture-perfect smile. Is this what I get to experience every day in married life? I've fallen for his handsome face. Mike was an incredibly handsome man that everyone envied. Even when I showed Lisa his photo, she said, "It's great that you got such a kind and handsome boyfriend." But now she's denying Mike. No more overthinking. I switched my mindset and stood up with Mike to cut the cake. Just as Mike and I were about to cut the cake with the wedding knife together, a familiar boy approached, causing me to halt my action. It was my nephew, Max. Max, what's wrong? Then Max grabbed my wedding dress, as if trying to pull me away from Mike or to bring me towards him. And then he pointed at Mike. You better not marry this guy. What? I was taken aback by Max's words and couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Everyone in the venue who heard Max's words was also in an uproar, clearly shocked. From the groom's side, angry shouts of, "What are you talking about?" could be heard, making everyone tense. I inadvertently let go of the wedding knife I was holding with Mike. We needed to calm the situation somehow. Max, you're startling everyone. Go back and sit with your mom. I crouched down in front of everyone and whispered to Max to return to his seat. But Max shook his head and said, "I can see the future. This guy is going to get arrested soon. And you'll be crying. If you marry him. It'll only make you sad." I used to think it was just child's talk, but Max was utterly serious in his response. Both Lisa and Max, I wondered why they were trying to ruin my happiness, but I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. And that feeling was confirmed by the sound of Mike's laugh echoing eerily through the venue. Mike. I stepped back from the eerily laughing Mike and called out to him. But Mike didn't look at me, instead, he turned his gaze to Max. Kid, how did you figure out who I really am? It's my ability to predict the future. Haha. That's great. You and your family are all living in a fantasy world. I can't stand this anymore. Hey, you guys, let's get out of here. All right, boss. At Mike's signal, his relatives at the groom's table rushed out of the wedding venue. Mike followed them without a second glance at me. I could only stare blankly at their retreating figures, collapsing on the spot from the shock of the swift turn of events. Emily, are you okay? Lisa. Seeing my distraught state, Lisa, with whom I had been arguing, rushed over to me faster than anyone else, and I felt tears welling up. Lisa, you came to the wedding. I said terrible things to you, and now the wedding is ruined. It can't be helped. You were head over heels for Mike, and that's one of your good points. I shouldn't have denied that. I'm sorry, Lisa. I'm so sorry. As the tears flowed, I threw my arms around Lisa, embracing her tightly. Lisa let out a sigh of relief and wrapped her arms around me in return, offering comfort and reassurance. Sorry to interrupt, but I just remembered something. Mary. Then my sister, who had also rushed over, suddenly raised her voice as if she remembered something. She said she would check something and left. Meanwhile, Lisa and I, along with Max, decided to contact the police and explain the situation. My family and I were asked to stay at the venue for questioning. I got an email from Mary. A photo? After a while, an email arrived from my sister with a photo attached. It was a wanted poster, and the man in the photo, especially around the eyes, looked just like Mike. The name on it was Sam, suggesting that Mike was probably an alias. This is him. This is the guy from earlier. Max, who had quickly realized Mike's true identity, pointed out that the person in the photo was indeed Mike. My relatives gathered around and were momentarily in turmoil, agreeing that it was indeed the same person. The wanted poster described him as the mastermind behind a group that defrauded students from a local university, swindling them out of money. Yes, Mike's true identity was the leader of a fraud ring. To think he went as far as undergoing plastic surgery to change his appearance just to get close to me. Was it because I was a nurse? Perhaps, considering my busy job and decent income, he and his accomplices targeted me as their mark. I was paralyzed for a while by the realization that I had been deceived. Later, numerous reports of a strange man in a tuxedo causing a disturbance with his associates were made, and Mike was arrested by the police. A few weeks later, fingerprints left at the venue matched those of the wanted criminal Sam, confirming his identity. His accomplices, who had posed as relatives, were also arrested one by one, bringing the case to a close. I never imagined I'd become a victim of such a crime. Looking back on my memories with Mike, I realize I was too blinded by love to see that I was being deceived. It's beyond shocking, it's embarrassing. The money I had deposited into our joint account, which Mike likely spent, was gone. According to security footage, he had mostly squandered it on gambling. Confronted with these facts, I took some time off work and secluded myself at home. Lisa occasionally brought me food and worried about my haggard appearance. But I knew I had to start looking forward again, even if just a little, to return to work. When the doorbell rang and I opened the door, expecting Lisa, it was my sister. After the incident, my sister would also visit me from time to time. Everyone's so kind. How are you feeling? You still seem a bit worn out. After what happened, it's no surprise I'm shocked, even if it was my own doing. Cheer up. I brought you some treats today. And I thought we could have Max take a look. Max? As I let my sister inside, Max, who had been hiding behind her, suddenly appeared and stared intently at me. I hadn't noticed Max. Am I that mentally exhausted? Or is this another one of Max's abilities? No, that can't be. Such spiritual things. I must be really tired. But then again, Max was the first to see through Mike's true identity. He claimed he could predict the future. Could it really be true? As Max continued to stare, I started to feel uneasy. Yeah, Emily, I can't see you crying anymore. Really? That's good. Is it good? I received a positive diagnosis, but I'm still not fully convinced about the future predicting ability. But Max was the one who exposed Mike. As I was pondering this, my sister showed me a photo of a man. Actually, Max saw this man and said he should be by your side. Is this a matchmaking photo? You're not suggesting I go on a matchmaking date, are you? I whispered to my sister, making sure Max couldn't hear. Seriously, what are you thinking? Suggesting a matchmaking date to me when I'm heartbroken after finding out my boyfriend was a criminal? Well, Max insists it's a good idea. Some of my friends got married thanks to his predictions. Hey, you're not using Max for business, are you? Mary. How rude. Don't lump me in with your ex. She might be getting a referral fee. I was skeptical of my sister's flustered response, thinking I'd had enough of men for a while. But if Max's mysterious abilities had indeed helped my sister's friends find marital bliss, perhaps it's worth giving his insights a chance. Even if that weren't the case, it's about time I stopped dwelling on the past and start looking forward. I moved from my sister to squat down in front of Max. If Max says so, maybe I should meet this guy. Yeah. Emily, you'll find happiness this time for sure. Seeing Max smile for the first time filled me with joy, and I found myself smiling too. I can't wallow in self-pity forever. The saying goes, strike while the iron is hot, and I was eager to meet this man. Filled with hope, I finally had the matchmaking meeting arranged by my sister a few weeks later. Do I look okay, Mary? You look fine, just relax. Why are you the most excited about this? I was getting my dress checked by my sister, who had come with me, and couldn't help but notice her unusually high spirits. Amidst my sister's suspicious excitement, I was told to go ahead and found myself in front of the room where my matchmaking partner awaited. When I slid open the door and announced my entrance, the man from the photo was sitting there, waiting. Ah, the nerves. We were both visibly nervous, but we started with simple introductions. The man, named John, was a fellow medical professional like me. Maybe my sister was excited because he was a doctor. Having such a pragmatic sister can be a hassle. But our commonalities didn't end there. John, being a handsome doctor, you must be quite popular. It's surprising you're still single. Actually, I had a girlfriend until recently, but it turns out she was a marriage scammer, and I was unfortunately deceived. What? I was taken aback by our unexpected similarity. No way, a fellow victim. When I shared that my recent ex was also a marriage scammer, John seemed equally shocked. John must have been deceived by a woman who was his match in terms of attractiveness. I feel like I have no redeeming qualities and don't match up at all. Just as I started to lose confidence, as if to blow away those doubts, John, who had seemed nervous until moments ago, firmly grasped my hand and looked at me with sparkling eyes. With so much in common, don't you feel it's fate? If you're willing, Emily, I'd like us to date with marriage in mind. I know I was deceived. But I promise to protect you. No, I will protect you. His earnest declaration, as he held my hand tightly, made my heart race. It seemed I had taken a liking to John as well. As I naturally squeezed his hand back, I found myself saying yes. The matchmaking with John, the man from the photo, was a great success. Later, I learned that John's ex-girlfriend was part of the same fraud group as Mike. The thought that multiple marriage scams were happening concurrently was chilling, but like Mike, she was arrested. John was heartbroken when my sister and Max, who happened to visit him as patients, mentioned they could see him with me. They suggested a matchmaking meeting, and it seems he agreed. My sister hadn't mentioned any of this. She better not have promised John she'd take a referral fee later. She's so calculating. But thanks to my sister and Max, I met my new boyfriend, so I won't hold it against her. After several years, John and I finally tied the knot. Our wedding ceremony went off without a hitch, and I was at the pinnacle of happiness. In contrast, Mike received a 10-year prison sentence at his trial. I believe that deceiving people is a serious crime. Honestly, I wish he'd never be released from prison, but I do hope he'll reform. That's why John and I found ourselves visiting the prison where Mike was held. It's been a while, hasn't it? Emily. Why are you here for a visit, and who's that guy with you? Nice to meet you, I'm John, Emily's husband. I apologize for the sudden visit, but we wanted to express our gratitude. Gratitude. Actually, John is kind of thanking you for letting me go, it seems. Thanking a criminal is quite a confusing concept. If you hadn't let go of Emily, I wouldn't have been able to marry her. So, I can't thank you enough. Are you kidding me? You're flaunting your happiness. Mike, furious, was unrecognizable from before. Even faced with Mike's reaction, John maintained his gratitude till the end. John is truly big-hearted. But with that attitude, it seems Mike won't be repenting anytime soon. He didn't even apologize to me. So, I too, in my own way, finally said to Mike, "Thanks for deceiving me, we're really happy now," which made him incredibly angry. It felt good to see him so riled up, and I found it quite refreshing. Speaking of refreshing, I disposed of all Mike's belongings left in my house as trash. They were useless to keep around, and it wouldn't be fair to John. Yes, John and I decided to cohabit in my house, and he moved in with me. It was the house I shared with Mike, but we planned to move once we saved enough for a new place. For now, being with John made me forget all about it, and I was incredibly happy. Life with John was picture perfect. Both being in the medical field, he supported my desire to continue working for our patients, and I was able to keep my nursing job. John helps out with the household chores, and sometimes he cooks meals that are absolutely divine. His cooking skills are so impressive, he could easily switch careers to become a chef. I remember being amazed the first time I tasted his cooking. We want kids in the future, but for now, we're more than content, thinking we'll get there when we're ready. Both John and I had our share of hardships, but by taking that step forward and overcoming them, we found this wonderful connection. I believe in the power of trusting others, as it can lead to happiness. Being betrayed once might make it hard to trust again, but not everyone out there is bad, considering the vast number of people in the world. To those who are hesitant, I hope you can be true to your heart and take that first step.